I'm not ashamed to admit that I will never go into the ocean, by ShittyLovecraft. As a young boy born and raised on the Maine coast, I enjoyed many a perk delivered by the sea into my life. Endless summer evenings of swimming followed by humid and bright afternoons of fishing and toiling along the shores. Sunsets viewed from canoes contrasted by windstorms enjoyed on the beach. The depths and unknowns of the sea never occurred to me, for my view of it was only skipping across its surface like a well-spun stone. The unremarkable harbor town where I participated in boyhood mischief and misdoings would be best described as sleepy. A fog rolled in and out with clockwork regularity each day, and the tide was mild despite night skies seemingly filled by the moon each month. The locals spoke little to one another, and nobody remarked when, on the rare occasion, the sea would bubble. Most noticeably in the harbor, but apparent throughout, as far as the eye could cast its vision. The sea would churn for a few moments as though a large school of fish was passing beneath. I imagine at first it might have caused much unease in the settlers, but an event occurring rarely but regularly tends to become accepted as the norm. A pedestrian might stop and observe the phenomenon with a moment's curiosity before adjusting his hat, dismissing it and returning to his daily doings. As a child, I mostly ignored the happening along with my peers, and we'd continue to swim and dive or fish and chatter through it. We may dive beneath the waves and try to find the source, though it seemed to come from the sandy floor itself, bits of dark fluid rising up with the bubbles before dispersing into the clear waves and erasing itself from any existence that concerned us. Through the years of my young life, I might confirm that I witnessed the bubbling sea maybe once yearly. Through my teenage years, I would often spend evenings alone, sitting at the harbor and trying to count down the seconds until the sun tucked itself away for the night, behind the waving wall of gray-blue before returning home to finish my workbooks for school the next day. It was a particular October night, whose show has forced my oath to never return into the lapping waves of any water anywhere. Our ignorance of the sea is so blissfully accepted that I can't stand it. Viewed from anywhere, the surface looks the same, inviting, shimmering, and refreshing. Its depths are so vast that a full exploration would be impossible. The things that lurk there are so sheltered from our awareness, from the hazards of the surface, from space, from time, that evolution, or lack thereof, can run rampant, creating and preserving places and things that shouldn't be. Furthermore, beneath the sand and stone that lays below the deepest depths could exist worlds unknown and inaccessible, but under the worst circumstances. Worlds that may leak into our own, whether by accident or design, invading and encroaching upon our comfort and bliss. I believe that this is what I witnessed that October evening as a teen, when the bubbling started. Softly at first, but accompanied by the familiar soft chatter as though 1,000 tiny bells were being rung across the glassy surface, it began. Except from my vantage point on the beach, I could see something changing in the water. At first I thought the setting of the sun was causing my eyes to deceive me, but it soon became apparent that the water was darkening, growing seemingly thicker and more resilient to the waves which lingered at their apex longer than they should have, and seemed to be traveling through oily gel as they approached. Darker, richer still, the water murphed into a tar, and the aroma that wafted from it was the sickly sweet scent of decay, accompanied by something I couldn't place. Bits of yellow and orange rose from the seafloor and evaporated into the air, and the bubbles grew in size. Alarmed but entranced, I stood near the edge of the pier, looking into the now thick substance that had overtaken the water. Movement was visible below the surface, though shapes seemed distorted and wrong. A glimpse of an eye or a body or some other unrecognizable shape presented itself here and there, leaving me certain that things wrong and uninvited had invaded the harbor. Something further out breached the surface, causing a sucking sound as the tar released it from its grasp before reclaiming its body moments later. The setting sun provided not much more than a silhouette of an armed and legged thing whose head was too large for its body, and whose body too misshapen to recognize. I felt its gaze, though my vision was obscured by the shadow and glare from the sun to make out any details. My mind was flooded with a feeling that I cannot describe except as a waking nightmare. Visions of a place, wet and dark. The air tasted of salt and smelled of coppery horror. All of it became clear in my mind, vast and open. It was slowly crumbling from the pressure above, provided by the volume of an entire world's water who threatened to fill the place, to assimilate it into the surface world by force. Below it lay oceans of the black substance, filled with beasts whose presence is felt, but their forms are not seen. Architecture existed, built by ancient hands and neglected by those same hands since a forgotten time. Buildings with tendrils of stone and brick and other things seemingly flailing from its sides, anchored into the rock and stone, leading to passages hidden from me. My mind snapped back to reality in an instant, the vision fleeting and dissolving from my memory. I've tried to hang on to it until I could write this, but I fear I've left out things that have escaped from my conscious mind, but still scream for attention from the deeper parts of my memory that I cannot draw upon willingly. My feet moved unwillingly, back away from the water, turning towards my home, whose windows I could see burning in the now dark night in the distance atop the hill. The trip home was quick and blurry. I arrived, winded and disorientated, and could not form a coherent sentence, and unaware of the now late hour. When asked with concern why I was in my current shape, I could not speak an answer. I was sent to my room to sleep, though sleep did not come. Through my dusty and streaked window, I saw the harbor lights shining on a sparkling, softly rolling dark sea. No longer did the waves maintain their crest longer than they should, and nothing crested through gelatinous tar to investigate the surface. The ocean has bubbled and churned many times since, and all people see is seemingly innocent bits of air rising harmlessly from something below the seafloor. I see more. What I see is a bit of a barrier between our world and the one from my vision, slowly crumbling, allowing their world to leak into ours, and vice versa. That place below my town's quiet harbor is growing ever closer.